So earlier yesterday, we found out that someone has been posing as Deadlock, or at least appearing to be an official Valve or a Deadlock affiliated account. The account looked legitimate at first, but similar to how the official CS2 and Valve accounts operate, which immediately caused confusion across the community. But to be very clear right now from the start, this was not an official Valve account, nor was it run by a CS2 developer or a Valve social media manager. And that distinction is extremely important because this account ended up making statements that lit a fire across the whole community right now, especially on Twitter and Reddit. Before we continue, real quick, only about 6% of you guys are actually subscribed, so if you enjoy CS2 news, updates, and discussions like this, hit that subscribe button and drop a like. It helps way more than you think. Now, the tweet in question said, well, you can't add anything new to Counter-Strike because the community freaks out and says the game they've played for 20 years is ruined, as they queue up DISSED 2 for the 10,000th time. And honestly, I don't fully agree with that statement, especially in the current state of CS2. Right now, CS2 is arguably Valve's biggest money printer. The game generates massive passive revenue over time, largely through case keys and Steam community market fees. Conservative estimates put CS2's annual revenue at over $1 billion and maybe more, which makes it one of Valve's most profitable products, if not the most profitable. So the idea that the community doesn't want anything new just doesn't fully line up with reality. That being said, this tweet wasn't coming from Valve in the first place. It was coming from someone who just happened to have the Deadlock handle, which in my opinion is a huge issue. That username should either be taken away or officially transferred to Valve so they can use it properly. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if that ends up happening. The situation already caused a massive uproar, and a lot of people generally believe the tweet was real. Some players took it as confirmation that Valve doesn't care or that devs are secretly thrashing the community behind burner accounts. One comment that really blew up said, they literally removed many game modes from CSGO and we will never get another operation again. This is not even scratching the surface of what's wrong with Valve, yet they say we don't want anything new. This response and Valve's burner accounts defending this nonsense quote. And this is where things get messy. On one hand, you absolutely should not believe everything you see on the internet, especially when it comes from accounts that look like official but aren't. And myself, I thought it was actually a confirmed account. If you go to their Twitter, it shows that they're just a complete fan-made account for the game Deadlock, which is Valve's other product. This entire situation proves how fast misinformation spread in this community, and not just CS and Deadlock and other Valve products. On the other hand, it's also true that Valve and CS2 developers have criticized the community before, and in some cases, their criticism actually makes sense. Let me explain. There have been multiple instances where CS2 developers have been openly harassed. I'm not talking about normal criticism, I'm talking about death threats, personal attacks, and completely unhinged behavior directed at people who are literally just doing their jobs, in many cases genuinely care about the game. Yes, Valve makes a lot of their money from us, nobody is denying that, but developers are still human beings like us, and at the bare minimum, they deserve the basic respect. A good example of this happened back in October 2024 when CS2 developer Fletcher Dunn, and he tweeted saying, I have some new network stuff that will be shipping in CS soon, with the smiley face. Sounds pretty positive. Well, someone replied with, fix this game, overpaid idiot dev. And that's just not feedback, that's just plain harassment, and there's many comments just like this under his post. Fletcher later addressed this behavior with the post criticizing how some people in the community interact with developers. He said, a rule of thumb I use is that if my first encounter on social media with a random person is for them to be a snarky dickhead, I assume that the expected total value of all future interactions is negative and block them. He followed it up with, it is possible to express negative feedback, criticism, or disagreement in a polite way. And honestly, I agree with him, especially as a developer. You can have disagreements, and just by saying them in a very polite or good way goes a long way than just being snarky. You can criticize CS2, you can be frustrated, you can want more content, but harassments, insults, and threats only makes things worse, and they're probably one of the reasons why Valve stays so quiet in the first place. This is one of the reasons Valve shut down public communication, and they also shut down where we could see updates publicly. And now we can only check when SteamDB gets an update from their pipeline that a change list has happened. At the same time though, I also understand the community's frustration. People just want an operation, people want some new stuff like weapons, people want to feel like CS2 is actually evolving, not just sitting there generating billions while we wait for them to cook. If CS2 is making over $1 billion a year, it's not unreasonable for players to expect more. Frequent content drops, better communication, or at least some clarity on what's coming next. So yeah, both sides have valid points. What I don't agree with is pretending that the community is the problem for wanting more, or pretending that harassment is justified because Valve is a $1 billion company. Two things can be true at the same time, but I can see why they're scared to make changes. The trade-up updates from coverts to golds did cause mass issues from the community, even some unfortunate events to people's lives. So you have to understand, in an economic standpoint from Valve, they add a sticker trade-up update or a sticker scrape tool or a new weapon, that would cause a lot of issues, especially for the sticker scrape tool. Imagine scraping a Titan Hollow and having the sticker available and it's just a little scratch and you could still sell it, which I have no idea how much they would go for, but if you can scrape it, it would still go for a lot of money. But what do you think of this whole situation? Leave a comment down below. Do you think this is crazy, or do you think the CS2 community is overreacting? I'll see you in the graveyard. Peace.